Hi everyone. So I wrote my public service announcement on understanding microaggressions and specifically how to cope with them. I found this really interesting just because a couple of weeks ago I had heard of microaggressions for the first time in my entire life. So I have been kind of looking into it and trying to understand it a little bit more. So I figured that I would form my PSA around that. So I wrote a little infographic, kind of just describing microaggressions and uh, how to cope with them. So I first wrote out the definition right here. I said microaggressions are defined as brief and common daily verbal, behavioral, and environmental communications, whether intentional or unintentional, that transmit hostile, derogatory, and negative messages to a target person because they belong to a stigmatized group. I got that definition from Oxford Dictionary, um, and I thought that it was just really a good definition just to encapsulate kind of the whole view of what a microaggression really is, because I think it can be oftentimes really confusing, especially for people who aren't the victims to microaggression. Then I went down onto stating some statistics. I said that microaggressions are commonly used oftentimes without intent, but they represent an underlying bias that the uneducated person may not be able to pick up on. They may sound like, "Where are you from?" or "Your English is great. Can I touch your hair? Are you a man or a woman? But you sound white. I would never know you used to be a girl." Like things like that. Um, and usually people, for the most part, have good intent when they are stating things like this, but there is an underlying bias that causes um, these phrases to be pretty hurtful, and for the victim, it's really negative. So Um, these are percentages between race and ethnicity groups with an average microaggression experience rate above rarely. So this is the percentage of people that responded to a survey that said that they experienced microaggression more than rarely. So 43.75% of Hispanic or Latina or Latino people experience microaggression more than just rarely. 40% of Asian people, 65% Black people, and only 4.90% white people. So obviously there is a very significant difference between microaggression rates for white people and in comparison to um, groups of oppression. And so I went on to state microaggression coping mechanisms. And I first kind of said that microaggression will continue as long as people are ignorant of their prejudice, which is true. Most people that do say microaggressive things are most of the time just uneducated on the topic, or uneducated on how hurtful it can be what they're saying. So you can challenge microaggressive thoughts by using the open the front door method. I go into that later on in the infographic. And then When you are the perpetrator, apologize and call yourself out for your actions. Ask victims of microaggression how you can help. I think um, if you accidentally are the perpetrator, just because you are uneducated, it is important to ask how you can help, um, especially asking the victims. So, the open the front door method is a method for people targeted by microaggression to use while speaking with someone who is uneducated on the topic. I put in quotation marks, this is from a Vox article, and it says, research has shown that microaggressions, although they're seemingly small and sometimes innocent offenses, can take a real psychological toll on the mental health of their recipients. This toll can lead to anger and depression and can even lower work productivity and problem-solving issues or abilities. And that's really important. Noticing that microaggressions, although they seem small, um, you know, people of oppressed groups do hear these microaggressions quite often, and so they can build up over time and lead to significant mental health issues and also physical health issues too. So the open the front door method is it stands for 4 different words. So they're observe, think, feel, and desire. And so I go down to explain how to apply the open the front door method. So first you observe and you clearly state what you see happening in the situation. I think it's really important to bring attention to what's going on. And then you think, so you express what you or others may be thinking about what was said, just to inform someone on how it may have been interpreted. Then you feel, so you express your feelings about the situation. I think that this is really important, especially in bringing a personal aspect to it, knowing that someone could have definitely hurt your feelings, and letting them know that. And then desire, so you state what you would like to have happen. So you can tell the perpetrator that, maybe next time you should think about rewording what you said, or um, give them a couple of sources on how to get educated on microaggression, things like that. So, yeah, I really enjoyed making this, and I hope that it was helpful. And thank you for listening. Bye.